Speaking of tensions, they are growing, as we have stated, in Libya, and President Obama has called for Muammar Gaddafi to step down. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, meanwhile, is meeting with the European Union officials to press for these further sanctions against Gaddafi's regime. So is the president doing enough, and what will the continued unrest mean for Americans? We turn now to our political panel to answer those questions, and I'm joined here in New York by Democratic pollster and strategist Bernard Whitman, and in Washington by Sherry Jacobus, a Republican strategist and columnist for the Hill newspaper. Good morning and welcome to you both.
Good morning. Thank
Bernard,
you.
I want to start with you. What is at stake for the president in his handling of Gaddafi, and then also the symbolism of where Secretary of Clinton is today in Geneva?
Yeah, I think the stakes are very high. First and foremost, the president has to be responsible for protecting thousands of Americans that are trapped in Libya right now, which is why I think his initial criticism maybe sounded a little muted at the beginning of the weekend. I think he was working to ensure that we have a plan to evacuate the Americans. And as that plan began to take shape, you heard the president increase his rhetoric. Clearly, the time for Gaddafi to go is now. It's come, it's gone. I think Secretary of State Clinton made that very clear in Geneva this morning, and I think that the meeting is going to be a perfect time to get all the European leaders on the same page and ensure that we can help as best as possible manage the transition to a post-Qaddafi Libya.
Sherry, President Obama meeting, though, with UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon later today. Does a meeting like that get with the president? I mean, does this really mean that he's going to be getting what he's looking for from the meeting, so to speak? If the two of these leaders are getting together, is he going to be able to impart what he needs?
Well, that's difficult to say at this point. I mean, we certainly hope that he does. But up until this point, he has had a muted response, to use the word that was just mentioned. And he's been criticized by senators, not just Republicans. You know, we saw John McCain criticize him, and Joe Lieberman and others for having that muted response, for not acting like a United States president, supporting democracy. You should have been supporting the rebel opposition long before that. Now, it's one thing to say that he wanted to get Americans out there safely, but as American president, it was weak. I think it remains to be seen now if he will take a proper hard line and if he will start to seem strong, like a strong American president should. I hope all his talks go well. We hope that he has an impact, but I think he has some ground to make up right now, because he has, quite frankly, appeared to be somewhat weak. And I think that the criticism of him, they've been quite careful. They've been polite. They wanted to support a president on this, but he really does have some ground to make up. So he has to have some successes. He has to be strong, and he has to make some stronger statements, and it has to start now.
Gang, I want to move on now to the budget battle on Capitol Hill. Bernard, what is a win column for President Obama when it comes to this debate?
Well, look, I'm delighted that it appears we've managed to forestall a government shutdown, at least at the end of this week. But all we've really done is kick the can down the road a couple weeks. And I find it actually very troubling. We have extraordinary structural problems to deal with that, frankly, both parties seem unwilling or unable to tackle. Our Congress now is more polarized than has ever been the case before, and the American people are left holding the bag. I mean, when you look at the percent of Americans that want their leaders to dig in their heels, even if it means a government shutdown, versus those who want the parties to come together in coalition and find real solutions to this, it's 2-to-1. They don't want a government shutdown. They want parties to work together in coalition, and this just has not been happening, and I fault both the Democrats and the Republicans for this. You saw when the Deficit Commission released its report in December, what happened was apocryphal. You saw both parties essentially declare DOA. The only way we're going to get the reform on this is by attacking some of the structural entitlements. And I actually applaud Chris Christie for saying the obvious, which is we've got to raise the retirement age on Social Security. It's clear.
Yeah, it's tough not to finger point to both sides. Sherry, Republicans are pushing this continuing resolution that should keep from shutting down the government for a few weeks. But is that really a sign that they believe that they're close to a more permanent budget deal?
Well, I think it shows that they're going into the negotiations in good faith. But the fact of the matter is, a new poll has come out from the Hill newspaper that I write for, as you mentioned in my introduction, that shows that if there were a government shutdown, the American people would blame the Democrats more than Republicans, and independents in particular would hold Democrats responsible. So if there is a shutdown in terms of just how this plays politically, it would hurt the Democrats more. It's a big difference from what we saw in the 90s, where Republicans were largely blamed. But we do have to go after entitlements. I think that John Boehner needs to take a harder line. The Tea Party or other independents and other voters made it very clear in November what they wanted. They wanted to cut spending. They want balanced budgets. They want us to start working on the deficit. So if Republicans in Congress don't go far enough, they will pay a price. Democrats should just be along for the ride at this point. They're hurting. They don't have a lot of credibility on this issue, as we know. The governors understand what the American people want. That's why you have so many governors and former governors looking to run in 2012, because they know that's where the rubber meets the road. They're the ones that can balance budgets and cut deficits. They're the ones that have credibility, and they're the ones that are going to show up President Obama, and it's likely to be a Republican governor that would run against Obama in 2012. So this is everything politically for the White House, and if they don't catch up, they're going to have a real problem.
Yeah, in 2012, not that far off. Here we are at the end of February.
Yeah.
So happy early March to both of you.
Yes.
Sherry Jacobus, Bernard Whitman, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.